I'm Richard Barratt, and I am President and Chairman of the Board of the Carmel Valley Historical Society. One of the founding members back in 1987 when a group of us in the Valley sat around and said, gee, something ought to be done to kind of preserve the history of a rather unique part of the Monterey Peninsula, a part that most people don't hear about. So we all formed up and put together the Historical Society, and got very involved in the fun part of this type of thing, and that is the collecting of artifacts and pulling together backgrounds and doing interviews. And we got very involved with the folks with the County Historical Society, and just picked up a lot of things, and a lot of us got going with what amounted to being the fun sort of things. In the 2008 general membership meeting, I was getting back into the business of the Historical Society. So I started out in 2008 with this new charter, as it were, and we had the general membership meeting, and everybody sat around and said, well, this is very nice. You're collecting all of this, and we're doing our dues. We're doing all the things that we're supposed to do as an organization. And the treasurer is doing due diligence, and we're collecting these monies. And the whole idea is a history center, or a museum at the time. And so basically what happened when I came on board was my charter was to build this history center, build a museum, which later during that same meeting, the suggestion came up and said, no, let's expand that. Let's make it a history center. And all of us thought, gee, that is really a good idea. And we're very, very lucky. One of our members and one of our very strong supporters out in the Valley is Peter Coakley. And Peter's family happened to be very upfront in the involvement with the Mariposa Museum, Mariposa now History Center. As a result, we were able to take that example and did some very close work with the Mariposa History Center, got their ideas going, and the word went out that it's our job now as the new board, if you will, and from 2008 to build this history center. And so the idea was, well, if you build it, they will come. And the thought was, let's get shovels in the ground. And it took about 9 months for this whole project to get through the various boards and so forth that we had to deal with and meet with out there in Carmel Valley. And the result was that more than shovels, actually, bulldozers came in, and we've had very, very good work with our contractor on this, Regency, who is virtually offices right next door to where the History Center is. And at this stage of the game, now we're looking at 4 years later, the building is up. It's a spectacular, beautifully built structure that very much reflects the old barn concept that you have out there in Carmel Valley. We're about, at this point, approximately $50,000 from finalizing the building itself, at which point we will then go back into the fundraising process and concepts of seeing what we can do, because once the building is up, now's when the artifacts go in, now's when the museum goes into place, the History Center goes into place. We have a very extensive library that's been collected over this period of time, and so what we're also going to be doing is establishing a research center for people who want to come out and find out more about not just the Valley, but what's gone into the historical side of it. And one of the projects that has gone into actually helping us build the funds for besides just our normal fundraisings, is Elizabeth's book on Carmel Valley. It's the first book that is a standalone book on Carmel Valley history. And the sales of that go 100% to the building and to the History Center. At this stage of the game, we literally have a center established, built, and the next step at this stage is to start putting in the books, moving them into the library portion of the History Center, and moving in the artifacts, getting them cataloged, getting all those things that one has to do for both a museum and a educational center. In my opinion, the Valley is tremendously unique in that it is the one area in this complete, this beautiful Monterey Peninsula area that has retained the majority of its original rural environment. It gives this the impression, it takes you back in history to when all of this was starting to develop. And the History Center as such becomes important for visitors coming into this area, in that we anticipate being able to provide them with insights into a fascinating concept that as appears in Carmel Valley, the pictorial history that Elizabeth Barratt put together. It will give people a better idea, a chance to be able to come to this area and take a look and see what it really was like back when people first started coming in here. The Native Americans from this area, unfortunately, there is so little left here. They were decimated by the early influence and influx of the Europeans, the Spanish and the Mexicans, that is really hard to reproduce. But the original rural aspects of Carmel Valley gives visitors an idea of what we really would get into when the early folks came in here, the early Europeans came in here and started the ranches and the farming and so forth. And so this is what we're looking to be able to provide. The research side of things, as I mentioned, we've done a tremendous collection for our library, and we're looking forward to seeing that actually set up so that people coming out here that want to learn more about what it was like when the early pioneers came to this region. This was as far as the Spanish and even during the Mexican era, this was really trash real estate, and it wasn't until well after the Europeans, the United States came in here, that it was discovered to be a little bit more than what it had been treated as earlier. And so what we plan to do is be able to give people a focal point, visitors a chance to see what it was like, and people who are more interested in more in-depth background as far as the history goes, the research capabilities. And we're looking to be able to provide this same concept for the children of the area. We're looking to be able to make sure that the schools have access, easy access to this research aspect of it. The Valley is such a great place to come out to. The village is a fascinating place. It's becoming a destination site with all its the boutique wineries that are out there. And so it's a tremendous place to look to for both the new and the old. We're really coming up with to the point where the History Center is going to be an entity that exists, and we're looking for all the assistance we can get. People are encouraged to come out to the center, and we have virtually people there all the time at this stage of the game, in the final stages of finishing it off. And just talk to any one of us on the board. We would love to tie you into working with us on this, and we've got work for you.